What's up, YouTube? Ryan here again. We're going to do another high-end rod review. This will be the second one. This is going to be another review on a model that hasn't had a very in-depth breakdown, especially a video review. I have not been able to find any. So today we will be talking about the 2020 Daiwa Steez 7'5" medium heavy medium bottom contact rod. Just some general notes before we get going. I'm doing these reviews because there's some other people that are doing reviews that have done a really fantastic job. Unfortunately, they don't have the time to fish every rod that's out there on the market and give everybody an in-depth review. When you're spending this kind of money, you know, this retails at $600 on a rod. A lot of times you spend a lot of time researching and trying to figure out what you really want, and you're wondering if it's really gonna make you happy once you get it. So as an enthusiast myself and someone who spends a lot of time researching, and especially with specific models that don't have any information, I wanted to go ahead and make some videos like some others have on different rods and different blanks. When I'm doing these reviews will be extensive use reviews, so they are not unboxing reviews. They are not that I just got this rod and I think that it's going to be great for this and it looks shiny. This rod was in my 2020 lineup. I used it from beginning of June all the way until now into season as we sit here in Michigan. So I got a lot of use and a lot of time in this rod, and I actually got this rod because of inventory issues with NRXs at the time. So that's how I acquired the rod. So we'll go ahead and jump into the review. We'll start again. This is the 7'5" medium heavy. This is part of the Daiwa Steez AGS lineup. This is a specific new model. It is not part of the blue Steez rods, even though it's in the same lineup. They did make an entirely new rod from what I understand. Spent a fair amount of time talking to people about it and researching it. The backstory is I had a broken 893 that I wanted to be replaced. I was looking at the 894, so there'd be a lot of NRX comparisons in this conversation. The 894s were out of stock, and then after speaking to a lot of people and thinking about my experiences with the 893, I was interested in going a different route if they were available. So insert the bottom contact rod came about. My understanding is I believe Gary or the guys from Tackle Trap had some influence with Daiwa designing this rod. Sounds like to me that they wanted to build the ultimate bottom contact rod. 894 is arguably that best half-ounce jig rod and that people have talked about extensively. However, there's a lot of problems with it. Fit and finish isn't great. Balance is pretty bad. It's super sensitive, super light. It's great. But there was definitely some downfalls. Recoil guides people didn't like, and sometimes a lot of people didn't like the real seat. So Daiwa and them, from my understanding, set out to build the ultimate jig rod, bottom contact rod on the Steez SVF blank. My understanding is they used the same SVF blank, but with this new nano technology. They have it on their website. So it's not the same exact blank as the other AGSs. Even though if you go out there and look, it'll be in the same lineup. It is built a little differently, so there's some differences there. It does have the same AGS guides, and again, I think the same base carbon SVF blank, but there's some differences in how they make it. I believe the reel seat's different too. I think this is their air sensor reel seat. I don't have any other Steezes, so I can't really comment on that, but I believe that they weren't an exposed reel seat. This is an exposed reel seat. The blank runs right through it, so that's different. It is red. It has the red accents as opposed to the blue ones. You still get that foam on it, the foam grip, which is really good. You know, it's obviously different than your cork, but it's really nice. It does have a hook hanger, and then you get your little description down here. It says bottom contact. It's kind of an added touch. It's pretty cool. So yeah, so I got this rod, hearing a lot of different things about it, hearing how great it balances, hearing that it's super sensitive. When I got it, I realized and thought about when comparing it to my NRX that the rod itself was heavier than I originally would have thought, but it balanced really, really well. So I went through this conversation with my 893 and then some people with some 894s. The conversation went that, you know, I'll give you an example. So the 894, I believe, weighs 4.3 ounces. But to balance the 893, 894, in my opinion, you need a bantam weight reel, like a 7.8 ounce reel. So that gets the whole overall combo way up in weight. So a lot of people are putting Steezes on this. And then I have a Metanium B, a 2020 Metanium B with a Gomexus handle on it. So a lot of people are putting Steezes on this. They're 5.5 ounces. This is 6.3 ounces. Both of those combos will come in overall less weight than an 894 with a bantam type 7.8 ounce reel on it. So that kind of sold me in that sense. I'm getting an overall less heavy combo. And the rod kind of floats in your hand. It really does. It definitely wants to float tip up. So that's just the balance is amazing. You are getting those AGS carbon guides. There's a lot of stuff about the AGS guides. Incredibly sensitive. St. Croix's using them on their Legend Extremes, I believe. Yeah, there is some stuff about the AGS guides. There's a reputation about them not being the most durable. As I sit here talking to you through I don't know what it's been, 4 months or so, my third guide from the top is broken. I just got back from a trip from 2 weeks in Florida, spending Thanksgiving with the family down there. Towards the end of the trip, I noticed that my third guide from the top was completely broken right off, and I do not remember anything about why that would have came to be. So I contacted Daiwa, contacted the dealer I bought the rod from. Daiwa was handling that. I got to send the rod to him just like you would send any rod to anybody. And they're going to pay for that free and clear. So the same thing with G Loomis, you know, the warranty with G Loomis and stuff like that is, you know, bulletproof. And I think Daiwa gets a little bit of a bad rap and some concern, even from me, about the limited warranties that you're not sure what you're getting. I did contact them and I'm sending them the rod. They'll fix it free and clear. If they can't fix it, they'll send me a new rod. So just some of the stuff about the guides, again, they're incredibly sensitive. It does seem like they don't want to bend, probably because of that carbon, and they will break off. If that were to happen, it seems like Daiwa is going to take care of it, no questions asked. So that's a little bit on the guides and the warranty. I talked about the weight. Again, the rod weighs 5.5 ounces, so it's a heavier rod, but it's balanced so well that you can end up putting the lighter reel on it and then thus ending up with a lighter combo. So it's just a different feeling. When people are standing there and they hold an 894 or an 893 or any NRX, and then you pick this up, you're like, oh, wow, that's heavier. It is heavier, but it balances differently, and it balances well. And if you want that jig rod and you want that tip up action, you're gonna want it to balance right. Otherwise, you're gonna be fighting it all day, and that's just ridiculous. So, again, the weight is what it is. The big thing that you'll find when people are trying to buy an 894 or any of those NRXs and comparing it to these really high-end Steez rods, probably because of the price point, is the sensitivity. So the sensitivity is, it's different. It's different than the NRX. I think it's fantastic. I think there's a couple people that have done some pretty good job putting it into words on the forums, in that it is deeper in the blank. So I think it's probably because of the lightness of the NRX rods themselves, and some of the lighter rods, they feel a little joltier, but they feel a little more hollow. I think that's a lot of reason that people like the Conquest rods, that they don't feel quite as hollow. I don't want to say hollow, but they don't feel like they're going to break as much. So the Steez rods, and particularly this bottom contact rod, it is very sensitive. But when you get that thud, it resonates almost from the middle of the blank and not from the outside. It's hard to explain, but it's different. Very sensitive. for guys that are looking for this rod, for guys that are newer into fishing, or guys that are thinking about subtle bites, you're not missing bites with these rods. You're not gonna, I don't think that you're gonna miss a bite from the NRX 893, the 894 to the Steez. I think that they're all incredibly sensitive. The way this thing sits with the Metanium B, it floats in your hand. It is, yeah, sensitivity, it's right up there. It's nothing to worry about. I think it's right there sensitive with the NRX. It's just a different feeling. It comes from the inside, deeper in the blank than that outer core for whatever reason. The fit and finish on these things, like all the Daiwa rods from the reviews that I see, and then now from me having one, is absolutely perfect. The guide wrapping's perfect. The epoxy, there's no loose epoxy anywhere. I don't mind the hook hanger that's in the bottom. Some people like them up front, some on the bottom. It doesn't matter to me. Honestly, I like to hang them on my reel handle. Some people don't like to do that. I do like to keep it off of the reel, but sometimes I hang them on my reel handle. This one does have a hook hanger at the bottom. Again, mine has I got a Metanium B on it with a Gomexus handle with the red handles, which I think is it's cool. It accents the red stuff on the rod, so that's good. Couple other things, techniques, what it's good for. So I've heard some comments about people saying that that the 894 was more powerful. I'd be the first to admit that I haven't fished an 894. I fished an 893, which I think was overpowered at a 3/8 ounce jig in full-size trailer. Talking to Gary from the Tackle Trap on the forums, I thought he had said that the bottom contact rod was substantially more powerful than the 894. Some other people said opposite. I fished 1/4 ounce swim jigs and regular jigs, 1/2 ounce and 3/4. So a 3/4 ounce Revenge swim jig, which I fished like a traditional jig most of the time with a Yamamoto Cowboy. That weighs in at 1.24 ounces. That's heavy. So a 3/4 ounce jig with a Cowboy on it weighs 1.24 ounces. This thing's rated from 1/4 to 1 ounce. It fishes a 3/4 ounce jig that weighs 1.24 ounces with a full-size trailer without being mushy. And that's saying something. So I'm not sure why the top end's so low. I think G Loomis does that with some of their rods too. But the top end, I think it's, you can definitely throw, I think you could throw a 1 ounce on there. Maybe not, you maybe not want a Cowboy on that. I had not pushed it with a 1 ounce, but I don't like mushy rods. I don't like to overpower rods because I feel like it messes with the sensitivity and how I feel. But a 3/4 ounce jig weighing in at 1.2 plus ounces does not feel mushy on this to me. On the bottom end, I have thrown 1/4 ounce on this Texas rigs. It will do it. It has a tip. It's got a soft tip, to be honest, especially for the amount of power it has. It just, the bottom end, it does really well too. Where I think this rod really will excel too is versatility. Having fished and still own several NRX rods, they're fantastic. They're fantastic jig rods. This seems to bend a little deeper in the blank, and I feel like it can be used for more techniques. I used a speed worm, gambler speed worm, in Florida down on this. Fished really well. Swim jig fished really well. Again, big jigs fish fantastic on this, but I fished a swim jig. I fished the gambler speed worm. I've thrown spinner baits on it. You could throw a whole plopper on it if you wanted to. You could throw a frog in open water on it. It's powerful, and it has a good bend to it, but the tip almost still feels like it sets itself. It just doesn't feel like it unloads like an NRX unloads. So that's that. As far as the techniques go, it's a universal rod. Obviously going to be fantastic for a worm and a jig, swim jig, speed worm. Yeah. These are, again, they're $599. I wouldn't pay retail for them, but I wouldn't pay retail for any of these high-end rods. You get in with a dealer and make some contacts, and you should be able to get some sort of discount on them. So there is a review on the 2020 Daiwa Steez 7'5" medium heavy bottom contact rod. It's a fantastic rod. It's an equal alternative to the NRX 894 and arguably way better from a balance perspective. It's definitely better from a balance perspective. Definitely better fit and finish. Sensitivity's right there with it. The warranty's a little different. People don't love the warranty because they think the G Loomis warranty is so great, and it is. I think G Loomis is gonna come back to reality on that. I've heard that they're changing their warranty up quite a bit, so they may be coming down to a couple year specific warranty, not this lifetime warranty that we're so used to. So don't sleep on the Steez bottom contact rod. It's fantastic, and it gives you a ton of confidence. So give it a try.